This is Bill Kimler, co-host of the Black, White, and Blue in the South podcast. This Halloween, stand out from the crowd with ZJZDesigns.com. Their brand new limited edition spooky prints are here to haunt your wardrobe in the best way possible. With 5 new chilling designs, you'll be ready for trick-or-treating, haunted houses, and everything this spooky season has to offer. Whether you're getting festive for the holidays or just looking for unique, high-quality designs to up your style game, ZJZDesigns.com has you covered. Shop now at ZJZDesigns.com and discover the t-shirts that'll make you stand out in any season. Don't get caught without the coolest Halloween t-shirt. Grab yours before they disappear. ZJZDesigns.com.
This episode of the All About Nothing podcast is brought to you by Everplay Sports and Social. Look, for 10 years, I have absolutely enjoyed the time that I have spent every week playing in leagues that have been brought to us by Everplay Sports and Social, whether it's kickball, softball, bowling. Everything they do is just fantastic, and the way that they do it is just absolutely great. So I need you to know, right now they are signing up for their late fall leagues. Monday indoor volleyball over at Tri-City Leisure Center in West Columbia. That's going to be 5 weeks. You got Tuesday sand volleyball at Polliwogs. It's another 5-week session. Wednesday flag football, 7 weeks at B Avenue. Leagues are signing up right now through October 8th. That is the deadline. So make sure you go to everplaysocial.com, because if you don't, you'll miss out. Go do it now. You will have a great time. You get to be with friends, you get to meet new people, and you get to participate in sports that we did as kids. So go do it. everplaysocial.com. Proud to be a sponsor of the All About Nothing podcast. All right. Good morning, everybody. This is the All About Nothing podcast kind of daily show. I am Bear Gruber, host of the All About Nothing podcast with Zach King. Normally, I would be joined by Mr. Bill Kimler, who is traveling today. He, of course, is the host of Black, White, Blue in the South, and he does that along Dr. Jameel Brooks, who is his co-host. Like I said, he's not here today, and he's not here today because he is traveling. But we are going to do a special live Friday episode tomorrow. Because he will be in a place that he has the ability to join me. So we're going to do that. All right. Going to get started this morning. It's crazy that we're almost at the end of September now, and it's the speed at which we are moving through this year is just unbelievably. You almost feel like you need some sort of a bandage or something around your neck because of the whiplash from it. So we ended our show this past Tuesday with a knock. We were banned on TikTok again because someone found something that we said to be, they marked it as misinformation. And I went back. I don't normally listen to this show. I've got comments in TikTok that says our podcast is painful, and I can't disagree with that statement. It's hey, Jimmy Hoffa is saying good morning from Brooks Middle School. Says they have us on the projector for their 5th grade class. I'm glad you warned us. Appreciate that. Anyhow, I don't know exactly whether or not we said something that was misinformation. I didn't hear it. Everything that was said was something that was either speculation or based at least on some sort of information that's available. But anyway, it only took about 2.5 minutes and for our appeal to be verified by TikTok, and then we were reinstated. I feel like the game now is just to see how often we get, how often we get banned or at least community guidelines or whatever, and then within minutes are back available. I'm not saying that to challenge. I'm not challenging anyone to see how often we can do it, because I still have to go through the process of the appeal and the things like that. And while it's not terrible, it's not it's not productive, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. But it is a little bit of an annoyance. And I was discussing it with some other podcast hosts, and they've gone through the same thing. They've had the same thing sort of happen to them. So one of the things that we think that TikTok should institute is that if you reach a certain number of thresholds where your ban has been appealed successfully by the person you're banning, that maybe you should have to go through some sort of a ban. I'm just gonna. I'm not here to squelch anyone's free speech. I'm not here to try and if you disagree, you disagree. That's perfectly fine. It doesn't bother me. But to have a reaction like that, just sort of, if we say something that you don't agree with, look it up, do some research, and see if you're right or if I'm right. And then, we can have a civil conversation about it. But just trying to cancel somebody, I remember back in the early 2000s not early 2000s, I guess it was in the 20 teens, that cancel culture was the thing that the Republicans and the GOP, Fox News was constantly running stories about how cancel culture was killing America and stuff like that. And then, that's almost my only interaction with people is trying to cancel us. So just seems weird how those relationships have shifted. Being Thursday and being almost the weekend, we saw Jimmy Kimmel's show come back this week, which I was excited for because it helps me out. Jimmy Kimmel's show, I watch his monologue. I watch Stephen Colbert's monologue. I will watch the opening headlines on The Daily Show and Seth Meyers when I am on the rowing machine every morning. Those are what I use as the entertainment while I'm on the rowing machine. And it was good to have Jimmy Kimmel back in the lineup. Because I find Jimmy Kimmel to be funny. I like the way he presents himself. I think that his delivery is very entertaining. I get that there are people that are going to disagree. But I did not see anything in what his monologue from a week ago was that was enough to say that he was trying to hurt the Kirk family. It didn't come across that way. I didn't see anything in it that made me feel like he was being directly harmful to them. So I was glad to see that ABC and the Kimmel Show were able to come together on how best to bring him back. And I thought that his opening monologue on Tuesday night was, appropriate. I don't, he teared up as a result of delivering what was very caring remarks to the Kirk family. I think that I don't think that he left out the Charlie Kirk followers. I think he acknowledged that that what happened is absolutely wrong, and I think that he did it in a respectful way. So I enjoyed it. I watched and listened to reactions from other late night hosts. I saw Howard Stern basically show his appreciation for how Jimmy handled the situation, and I think that it turned out well. I think that it was a good and entertaining show on Tuesday night. Yeah, it was Tuesday. Sorry, my days started to get to a blur by the end of the week. So Jimmy Kimmel's back. We're still going to see the end of Stephen Colbert's show come in May, which I don't suspect that CBS is going to retract that one. I think ultimately, I mean, you never know. It's entirely possible that they could come back. But it's not likely because they made the decision that Colbert wasn't being terminated based on any political or that what they have stated publicly is that it wasn't pressure from the president. It wasn't pressure because of anything other than financial. That they made the claim that Colbert's show was losing tens of millions of dollars a year. And who knows, that's possible. Advertising isn't quite what it was. The internet, I don't have to watch commercials to watch Colbert's monologue. I don't have to watch commercials to watch, Jimmy Kimmel's monologue. I think that I would probably have to force myself to watch commercials if it was Fallon's, though. I a lot of people love Fallon. I'm not going to take that away from him, but man, Fallon is not as much fun for me to watch. I will potentially watch Fallon if like everybody else is on vacation. But sometimes that's a really difficult thing. And that's just my opinion. Everyone is welcome to their opinion. Just don't start fighting each other over your opinions. That's the most absurd part. So I caught flack this week from a couple people because of the enjoyment that I got out of Donald Trump not being able to pronounce the word acetaminophen. And this is one of those things where because I see how President Donald Trump treats anyone he doesn't like or anyone he thinks that is being unsubjectively, I don't think that's a word. I'm probably going to get corrected. But anyone that he sees or deems to be insulting him or hurting his feelings or whatever, he is usually pretty relentless about how he handles that. He usually goes after them on his Truth Social, which, by the way, the number of users for Truth Social now is down from when he was number of daily users. It's not a reflection of the number of registered users, but the number of daily users. So this is information that is kept by internet ISP, internet service providers. But the Truth Social app itself, when he was inaugurated in January, was around 60,000 daily users. It's down. It's according to some of the information that's been made available by ISPs around the world, it's down to about 42,000 daily users. So his message on his own platform doesn't get out there really unless the news media posts it. So I would say maybe the news media shouldn't post it. If people really desperately want to see what Donald Trump has to say, they should go and join his app. That's my suggestion. So I did get a kick out of somebody's asking about the Raptor. Can we all pray for a mini Raptor of 30 million? Yeah. Well, I'll if I have time, I'll talk about that here in a minute. So anyway, I got a little backlash over my enjoyment of Donald Trump not being able to pronounce the word acetaminophen. I still think it's funny. This is the president of the United States. This is someone who absolutely should read and make sure that he understands the entire briefing that he's about to give in front of the public, in front of cameras. This is not something that should just be taken lightly. And so he goes out and he mispronounces acetaminophen until you got TV's Dr. Oz behind him, and you've got asylum reject RFK on the other side, and both of them are trying to tell him how to pronounce it, but he's in his aging process, his hearing is starting to go. So he didn't hear them trying to correct him, and he didn't hear them trying to say it. But I will admit that if I didn't know the word acetaminophen, I probably would mispronounce it at first too. And in my history, I imagine I probably have. I am not admitting that to bring myself to the same level as the president. I'm simply just admitting, yeah, we do it. But I would absolutely, as a public figure, expect that if I did it, I would get made fun of. I would get picked on. And it's the expectation. The comments were, and Fauna's not wrong. Comment said the entire briefing was about acetaminophen, and he couldn't pronounce the word acetaminophen. He did not recognize that word. He knew the word. He didn't recognize the word. And I think that some of that goes back to the possibility that he doesn't read real well. Maybe he has dyslexia, which is absolutely a thing. But like comments like this, where somebody says, so what? He couldn't pronounce it. Who cares? If Biden couldn't pronounce it, it would be Fox News would be running a chyron across the bottom of the screen for a month, showing Joe Biden trying to mispronounce or trying to pronounce the word acetaminophen. It would be a month of coverage on something like that. So, I think that it's important to enjoy some of the humor that does still come out of the White House. He made a claim during the acetaminophen press briefing that the Amish have zero autism, that there is not a single person in the Amish community that has autism. And that's a very bold claim, because historically, of course, the Amish being a group that is recognizes the benefits of 21st century medicine and technology. It's a weird claim to make. When my family had farmland up in Kentucky, and during the period of time that we had that farmland, there were several buildings built on the farm property that some of the Amish community we hired to come and build. And I am not a good judge of whether or not somebody is autistic or on the spectrum. ADHD, I can sometimes kind of pick up on it when I see it, but I'm not a medical. I have no medical background whatsoever. So I don't know that diagnosing someone with autism, or we're even still supposed to call it autism. I feel like autism was the name that was given to it because of its relation to the person that discovered it. That might be right, but it has something to do with 1930s Germany, and I don't. Anyway, on the spectrum, I'm just going to try and say on the spectrum, and so anyway, so we had there were Amish people that came and assisted in building for hire. They were paid for this, and I don't want to say that I thought I saw some people that were potentially on the spectrum. But I think that there may need to be a little bit more research into this claim that there is a 0% chance of anyone who is Amish as having autism. I don't think being Amish I don't think that, and maybe we could interview someone who is outside of the Amish community, but having been in the Amish community at some point. But I don't think that Tylenol is off the list. I don't think that medicine, modern medicine, is off the list. I think it's mostly just, depending on what type of Amish. I think it's mostly just like electricity and technology, unless it's something unless it's like technology or something like that they purchased as a purchase from money that was made during a job that didn't use. I don't know. Excuse me. Sorry. Allergies are still making an impact on my breathing. So not great. That's why I usually count on Bill to fill in some of the gaps while I catch my breath during the talking. Anyway, yeah. So the claim that Amish have zero autism, I think one was false and completely made up on the spot. I think that the likelihood is that Donald Trump probably saw acetaminophen, and for some reason the word Amish popped into his head, and he recognizes the word Amish because they're great builders. Maybe. Last part of this show, I think we're going to talk about is this really explosive situation now with this escalator gate from the UN, and what information I can find on it is tending to lean towards the likelihood that the individual who potentially stopped the escalator the moment that Trump got onto it was someone in his photograph, his press photograph, White House staff photographers. If you're ever curious as to who his staff photographers are, you can go back and you can watch the video from Butler, Pennsylvania, where you will see what seemingly is a Secret Service agent directing the photographers around to the best part or the best scene, where they lower the flag down so that it's right behind Trump. You think it's a Secret Service agent that is directing these photographers around to make sure they get the money shot of Trump raising his fist in front of the flag with all of the Secret Service agents, around him. But there was so right now there is believed to be the likelihood that the escalator stopped because one of his staff photographers hit the emergency stop button. Now, this thing has seriously blown up for Trump. He is furious. He's asking for investigations. He wants the Justice Department to look into this to see how this could have happened. How did the deep state, Democrats get in to the UN, because historically Democrats aren't allowed at the UN? How did the deep state Democrat liberal whatever get in and and through some sort of act of terrorism stop the escalator from running the second he put his foot on it? So, barring any possibility that the Democrats had something to do with the escalator stopping the moment he got on them, I think that maybe there are some other factors that need to be considered. So I will tell you this story, and we'll wrap it up here in just a few minutes because we only do half an hour here. I will tell you this story. This year, the 2025 Soda City Comic Con saw a very large number of people on the first initial day. So here in Columbia, South Carolina, we have what we call the Soda City Comic Con. It happens every late August, over a couple days, and when there is such a large influx of people, an escalator can only handle a certain amount of weight. Now, don't get to the punchline before I do, because I know you're already thinking it. But it can only handle a certain amount of weight, and it caused such an immense backup of people trying to go down the escalator to where the vendor's location was, that it begins to fill in some of the spaces, all the way back to the celebrity hall, where we had people like John Heater and not Dennis Quaid, Randy Quaid, Katie Sackhoff. So we had, so the crowd is backing up pretty far now. And I go to check it out because now they're in front of our booth and we from where we're at, it's pretty good distance, but people normally flow pretty easily. And when I get over there, one of the administrators for the facility is standing there, and I said, "What's going on?" She said, "Oh, the escalator reached its weight capacity." And so they were having to stagger how many people were on the escalator at any time, which is, it's a good sign for the Comic-Con. I mean, that's a large number of people that is having an impact on the structural integrity of an escalator. I had not seen that happen before at any of the previous Comic-Cons, so I think that was a good thing. So I think you already know the punchline. Look, I'm not saying Donald Trump is so fat that as his foot on an escalator would cause it to fail. It's not what I'm saying. I'm thinking it. I'm not saying it. But look, Donald Trump is as physically fit as Donald Trump is, according to reports. I think that his reaction when that thing came to a stop was almost epically the reaction that I wanted to see when he was found guilty of 34 felonies for basically mishandling money and improper business, using his campaign to pay off, his adulterer. No, that's probably not the right word. Paying off Stormy Daniels to keep her quiet for signing an NDA. That when he was found guilty, I wanted that to be the reaction, but they don't. The New York court doesn't allow cameras in there, but just that. Let me see if I can do it. It was a very funny face. And Melania she had sort of the same face. They both sort of had the same reaction. Melania's, 50 years younger than his, but but it was epically a very entertaining thing. But yeah, the likelihood is that they're leaning towards the idea that it was one of his staff photographers that actually hit the button. And it's entirely possible, because if his staff photographers are always being led around by a director of photography, I'm sorry, Secret Service agent. I said that wrong. Director of photography is a profession that not Secret Service agents don't direct photographers into positions so they can get the right shot just after a president has had an attempt made on his life. That isn't the thing Social Security. That isn't the thing Secret Service agents do. A director of photography would be a person who would move them into position, especially at the scene of a crime, where we'll just leave it there. So, do with that what you will, because there's lots of questions. Anyway, we are going to be back tomorrow morning. We are going to do another episode of the All About Nothing podcast kind of daily show. Bill Kimmler is going to join me tomorrow morning, and we will have a good time with that. So to everybody watching, to everybody paying attention to this, thank you very much. All the comments, really appreciate it. That is going to wrap it up for today. I'm Barrett Gruber. You can follow me across all social media at Barrett Gruber. And Bill Kimmler, of course, will join me tomorrow morning. We'll do another live episode right here on all of these social media. So make sure you follow us. And till then, you all stay safe, be kind, and keep your hands to yourself. The preceding podcast is a product of Big Media, LLC, and is copyright 2025, all rights reserved.